Welcome to the Improve and Have Fun podcast. My name is Paul V. Perez, and on this podcast, I work on improving myself while having fun along the way with the hopes of encouraging you to do the same. And I do so by documenting my life and interests. Weird stories, the final set of weird stories for 2019. And I'm not going to go ahead and go out from 2019 without telling you some new weirdness. So let's go ahead and get into it. This first article is from space.com and it's dated September the 13th, 2019. And the headline is, 2 asteroids will harmlessly fly by Earth this weekend, but NASA will wave hello anyway. It's always nice to see old friends, the article begins. And NASA's asteroid monitoring team has a busy schedule this weekend, September the 13th and the 14th, as just passed already. NASA's first appointment of the night is with an asteroid dubbed 2010 C01, which will make its closest approach to Earth at 11:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then less than a day later, at 7:54 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time on September the 14th, a second asteroid called 2000 QW7 will fly past Earth. Neither has any chance of hitting Earth. These asteroids have been well observed, Lindley Johnson, Planetary Defense Officer at NASA, says. Both of these asteroids are passing at about 14 lunar distances from the Earth, or about 3.5 million miles away, but small asteroids pass by Earth this close all the time. Going down to the bottom of the article here, the size of these particular asteroids that they're talking about in this article. Both of these asteroids are in or near NASA's medium category of asteroids, which begins at rocks which are at least 460 feet across. Large enough that if one hit, it could have catastrophic local consequences. NASA's large category begins at 0.6 miles across, substantial enough that if an impact occurred, it could have global consequences. Now, the first asteroid that was mentioned, the one called 2010 C01, is between 400 feet and 850 feet across. And it's a relatively frequent visitor and last made a close approach last fall, skimming past Earth on September the 11th. And we'll see it again next year on September the 16th. Annual visits will continue until 2023, after which the asteroid will stay farther and farther away from Earth until 2061. But it's much longer since scientists got a good look at the second one, which is 2000 QW7, which hasn't made a close approach since the flyby during which it was first identified in September 2000. It won't make another close approach until 2038. This space rock is about twice the size, 950 feet to 2,100 feet across. So basically, if one of these asteroids touches the Earth, it could really devastate a whole city, or it could easily devastate a whole town. And it's wild that these asteroids are just floating by us. Crazy. Let's go to the next headline here, the next story. This is from the New York Post, and this is dated September the 23rd. And the headline being, Woman Bites Camel's Testicles in Bizarre Truck Stop Showdown. A Louisiana truck stop turned into a real zoo when a woman chomped down on a camel's testicles while trying to retrieve her dog that had scrambled into the dromedary's den, according to a new report. The showdown between the woman who wasn't identified and Casper, the camel, a roadside attraction, happened Thursday at a truck stop in Grosse Tete, about 20 minutes outside of Baton Rouge. The woman's husband was tossing treats to the dog under the Casper's fence, prompting the pup to crawl inside the enclosure, the Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office told the Advocate on Sunday. The couple followed after the dog, but the woman didn't get very far before Casper took a seat on top of her, crushing her, so she bit down on his genitals to free herself, she told the police. She said, "I bit his balls to get him off of me. I bit his testicles to get him off of me," the Iberville Parish Deputy Lewis Hamilton Jr. told the paper. An investigation revealed that the couple had provoked Casper before he sat on the intruder. The camel did nothing wrong, Hamilton said. The couple was aggressive, and the camel was just doing its normal routine. Male dromedaries, i.e. camels, can weigh up to 1,320 pounds. Employees at the truck stop did not face any charges because the camel was enclosed and signs warning the public to stay out are posted every 10 feet. the deputy added. Don't go messing with no camels, because he might just sit on you. Now on to the next story. We have another space-related story, and this is on cnet.com, dated the 1st of October, and the headline being, Mysterious fireball that crashed and burned wasn't a meteor. Something bright came in hot enough to spark several fires in Chile recently, and it looks like it wasn't natural. Last week, a bright flaming objects were spotted in the sky over the island of Chiloé in southern Chile, before reportedly crashing to the ground and starting a series of small fires. Resident Bernadita Ojeda showed local Channel 2 News where something fell from the sky and burned some bushes on her property. Now, after a preliminary investigation, officials from Chile's National Service of Geology and Mining say that they ruled out a disintegrating meteorite as the cause after failing to find any evidence of space rock at 7 points where fires were started. So what are we dealing with here? Just some superheated space junk re-entering the atmosphere, or is someone testing their space lasers on Chilean scrub? Technically, we're talking about unidentified flying objects. Yes, UFOs. Although nothing big or well piloted enough to open the X-Files for, it would seem. After the story spread through social media last week, leading Chilean astronomer and astrophysicist Jose Maza told national broadcaster TVN the object was likely either a meteorite or space debris. Now just heading to the last lines on the article here. It's very rare for space debris to cause damage on the ground, as it usually falls in the ocean or remote areas. There have been occasional reports of rocket boosters doing damage following inland launches in China, but there are no reports of anyone ever being killed or seriously injured by space junk. The next story is from ndtv.com, dated the 7th of October, and the headline being, A Major Discovery, Israel Unveils Remains of a 5,000-Year-Old City. Let's dig deeper. The subheadline being, the archaeological site known as En Esur is the largest site and the most important from that era in the region, said an archaeologist overseeing the excavation. Israeli archaeologists on Sunday unveiled the remains of a 5,000-year-old city. They said it was among the biggest from its era in that region, including fortifications, a ritual temple, and a cemetery. We have an immersed urban construction planned with streets that separate neighborhoods and public spaces, Yitzhak Paz of the Israel Antiquities Authority told the Associated Press at the site near the Mediterranean in the country's center. He called it a major discovery in the region from the Bronze Age. The archaeological site known as En Esur is the largest site and the most important from that era in that region, said Itzai Elad, another archaeologist overseeing the excavation. It is 650 dunams, that's a 0.65 square kilometers, meaning double what we know. A ritual temple was found within the ancient city, along with the rare figurines with human and animal faces, they said. It has also included burnt animal bones in a stone basin that they call proof of sacrificial offerings. The excavation allowed for an older settlement from some 7,000 years ago from the Chalcolithic period to be uncovered as well, though smaller than the other discovery. Let's go down to the last few paragraphs here. Standing before a wooden table where some of the findings were displayed, Elad showed some of the more impressive of the fragments, including a club that could have been used as a weapon. Thousands of people lived here from agriculture and commerce, said Paz, with estimates putting the number at between 5,000 to 6,000 people. He said the site was abandoned in the 3rd century BC for unknown reasons. The excavations carried out over the course of 2.5 years included the participation of 5,000 teenagers and volunteers. The dig preceded the construction of a road in that area, a project whose plans were modified to preserve this site. And I've said this before, I like these kinds of stories, and I've said this before, there are still things on this planet that we have not discovered yet. And I think with the advances in technology, I can only imagine what other things we'll find, or possibly what other life we'll find on this planet. Fascinating, fascinating. Now for the final weird story of 2019. Dutch family found in cellar waiting for the end of time. This is dated October the 15th, 2019 on Yahoo News. Dutch police found the father and 6 adult children hidden in the basement of a remote farmhouse where they had reportedly spent years waiting for the end of time, officials said Tuesday. They discovered a man, believed to be the father of the family, with his children aged between 18 and 25, near the village of Ruinerwold in the northern province of Drenthe. Local media said that the family were found after one of the sons went to a nearby pub in a confused state, drank 5 beers, and then asked for help, saying he had not been outside for 9 years. Police arrested a 58-year-old man at the scene for failing to cooperate with the investigation, but he was not the father. I have never come across anything like this before, said local mayor Roger de Groot told a press conference. Police investigated after receiving a tip-off from somebody who was concerned about the people's living conditions and discovered the adults, de Groot said. They lived an isolated lives, he said, adding that they had been living on the homestead for the past 9 years and several of the children had not been taken up in the birthing register. Many questions were unanswered, and police are investigating all scenarios, the mayor added. Now, for the last few paragraphs here. The disheveled man, unwashed and wearing odd clothes, said he has not been outside for the past 9 years, bar owner Chris Westerbeek told RTV Drenthe. He said he had never been to school and seemed very confused. He spoke in a childish way, said Westerbeek. The man told Westerbeek he ran away from home and urgently needed help, so I phoned the police. And that, my friends, is the final weird story for 2019. I leave links to all these stories in the show notes for this episode. And if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, I leave all the contact links once again in the show notes episode and ways to support this podcast. Find any and all that information as well at www.improveandhavefun.com. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, let's continue to get weird.